Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Coffee and KO's recap show and a night in which Gregor Gillespie returns, a night in which we had staph infection in full effect, a night in which we had Herb Dean telling fighters that they need to get it together when Herb Dean never has it together, and a night that we see a legend in Cowboy Cerrone, in my opinion, take his last step in the octagon. I was honestly, guys, I was a little unimpressed by the card. That's just my personal opinion. It's just, I think the main thing for me is it was a card in which TJ Dillashaw, Sandhagen are supposed to headline this card. And this is not a knock on the main event, but I think we can all agree that's a fight we're looking forward to. We haven't seen TJ Dillashaw in 2 years post EPO. And Sandhagen coming off a crazy knockout in Edgar, and super excited to see that. And that's even no knock on, yeah. I mean we had that fight get canceled, but for me, it was just like you're expecting all that, and then we come back with a 9-fight card. And I'll be honest, I think for the most part, all 9 fights decent, but it was just for me personally, like you're looking forward to all that. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, well.
I was looking at that comment about dry like a steak. Like maybe Kevin needs to learn how to make his steaks, because I had a delicious steak tonight during the fights, and it was juicy. And I thought this card was actually pretty good. How
do you eat your steak, Aaron? I'm just curious.
Fresh off the charcoal grill. I season it in the morning, of course, and then make sure to bring it out about an hour ahead of time. Bring it to nearly room temperature because you don't want that shrinkage on your meat. We all know that.
That's a problem.
Right? Yeah. Make it with a little bit of roasted vegetables, perfect medium rare, of course, and never dry. So, Kevin, learn how to make your steaks and watch your MMA.
Man, I wouldn't say it was dry. I wouldn't say it was dry.
By the UFC.
I think that is what it is. Yes.
We're spoiled by the UFC.
I mean, we had 9 fights on a card where everything was canceled. We had a main event where the main event winner got there on Wednesday from Brazil after quarantining for 2.5 weeks. They were fighting at a weight class that wasn't theirs. It was a great main event also, in my opinion. Like, we're going to get DJ Dillashaw, and we're still going to get that fight in the summer. And it's just like, I mean, at a certain point, like, we have to, like, kind of take a step back and realize we had a pretty great card. There was, like, 3 lackluster fights. And who's shocked by the lackluster fight of Mo Green? Like, we knew that was going to be bad. That shouldn't have been on the main card. It was, and we got what we deserved there. But, like, I mean, we had a really impressive debut in the first fight of the night and a good finish there. It's like Gregor Gillespie coming back after 2 years off, and he couldn't walk at the end of the first round. And then I was like, he's going to be gassed, and he gassed his opponent who had 5 pounds of weight advantage in a grappling match, which is huge. Like, I just disagree with, like, this take. It's like it's an opinion, but it's like these are great fights. There was finishes and decisions. Like, people need to chill.
Were you more impressed with Bellator or this weekend? Who won this week?
This whole weekend, I mean, I predicted that the Bellator is going to actually be the worst, or the UFC is going to be the worst of the 3 events. And, like, honestly, they're all great. I mean, I thought PFL was fun and had some crazy upsets and, like, all really good fights. And then Bellator was all over the place, honestly, but still,
I wanted to ask your thoughts, Aaron, on the, because we don't recap any of the other cards, but I did want to ask you about the Verdum situation. What was your take on that?
Oh boy. So that I bet Renan Ferreira. I just have to say that much first and foremost.
Which I was gonna do as well, because it's Fabricio Verdum, but I didn't.
A little bit clouded on the judgment there. It's really hard because I was just, long story short, I wasn't a fan of how PFL presented it in several ways. For one, they never showed it in regular speed. They only showed it in slow motion, where there was like the 2 motions with the hand, which in slow motion do. But we all know in sports there's certain slow motion moments that can really look a certain way and then in real time look a little bit differently. But it's like if he tapped, it wasn't called, for one, and he didn't lighten up on the submission. And it's just like there's been times where a guy gets knocked out unconscious and keeps getting punched, comes back and wins the fight. It's like, he was unconscious, it's over. It's like, no, the ref didn't stop it. And that's all. And, like, afterwards, they only interviewed Verdum. They don't interview Renan Ferreira. And it's just like for Verdum to say, as soon as there's a top, I stop. I cannot go as soon as I feel it. It's like every fighter knows you don't stop till the ref stops it. So that's my opinion on it.
Josh, any opinion on that?
I didn't watch PFL this week. I didn't watch Bellator this week. I was at FAC on Friday night.
It was awesome too.
I was consumed by a weekend of combat. So, and then tonight, I think the UFC still won this weekend, though. I can't really say that because I didn't watch the other two, but UFC is always reigned supreme because of the talent. You know, top to bottom, still has it, even on this card.
Yeah, but
for my opinion on the tap, I just like Fabricio Verdum. I've never been a Fabricio Verdum fan, so I'm siding against him on this one. He should have just if the submission was in that deep, if he held on to it, the guy would have eventually went out, right? He didn't go out, so in my opinion, he was still conscious enough to throw bombs, and it ended up, Fabricio Verdum ended up losing. So that's my take on it. But listen, it is kind of shade. I didn't even know that there was different taps. Apparently, that was like, what do they say, like a Brazilian tap or some shit like that, where it's like it's Brazilian? 2 taps instead of the. I was reading some article.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that.
There's different versions of taps.
That's because that was one of my arguments. Was there was only 2? So okay, I didn't.
Yeah, there's so apparently that's like I don't know if I'm getting that. I know that there was definitely different taps. I don't know.
Because it was definitely 2, but like he so quickly went from tapping to like not 1 or 2 strikes. They were like really intense strikes, and it did seem like, but. Either way, like I bet on Renan Ferreira. You're not going to get a non-biased take from me. I took that plus 290 home. So, and I bet against Usman's brother. That was a plus 375 that I got. There was dogs all over the place on PFL, and we keep in them. So.
Yeah. But getting back to this weekend, Marina Rodriquez, Michelle Waterson, I thought both females looked great, honestly. I thought Michelle Waterson, well, for one, both gas tanks, incredible. All 5 rounds were really good. I think Waterson was actually the fresher fighter in the last round than Marina, but it was very close. A lot of action the entire time, no boring moments in that fight whatsoever. Probably, I think, my favorite fight on the card. Overall, I thought it was just nonstop action the whole time. And I think that both of these females are just Michelle Water. They're as advertised, that's you're going to get the same thing every single time. But I thought Michelle Waterson actually looked her best tonight, better than she's looked. I just wish the thing that kills me with her, and Kieran mentioned it too in our group chat, is she's almost just so one-dimensional in her striking. Like it's just all kicks. And don't get me wrong, she's like incredibly crafty with them, and it's a thing of beauty to watch. But it's like if she would just mix in other stuff aside from these kicks, I think she'd be even better. And I think that's the only thing. That's my only gripe with her. And don't get me wrong, it was working. I mean, the kick that she landed flush in that last round was incredible. It obviously, I don't know what happened to Marina's face, but obviously swelling there. So overall, looked great. I thought Marina looked great. She's super quick. Got power. So I overall the fight was great, and both of these women, I really enjoyed watching that fight from beginning to end.
Yeah, it's like crazy. It came together on like 5 days' notice for both of them. Like seriously, like I just feel like female fighters continue to step up in ways like male fighters wouldn't. 2 top 15 male fighters would not step up in 5 days' notice for a main event, a weight class above, and look that way. It's just like, and go 5 rounds. That was Marina's first time going 5 rounds. It's like for Marina to take that fight and look the way she did. It's just like, I think I'm a huge Marina Rodriguez fan. I'll say that first and foremost. I have been since she's gotten into the UFC. I think her striking looks like no other woman's striking in the UFC too. And just when you learn more about her story, she started at 26 years old.
The combos she throws.
It's just like crazy. And like, I get her ground game is like Maurice Green level. So that's not great. But she's really hard to get down there. And with Michelle Waterson, I have to give her credit because Michelle Waterson would be a UFC champion right now if there was a 105 division, because that's where she was originally. And it's like there never was one in the UFC. So like she has to go to 115 and then fights this at 125. Like it's crazy to me because I mean she is limited even at 115, but especially when it was 125, I thought that she had no chance. And she took combo after combo. I had to mute the commentary after round 1. I decided that I just didn't need to hear the commentary. Only
I didn't listen at all night.
Yeah, well, I mean, you that's your game too.
Once I saw Dom Cruz on there, I said nope.
Touche. Yeah, and I mean, it's like I mean, it was just crazy. The first round, I was driving me crazy. Like they would not acknowledge one strike from Marina, and she outstruck her by 16 strikes in the first round, and they're like, "Oh, close round." And then they said the second round was close, and then like once in a while at the end of the round, like DC was like, yeah, another dominant round for Marina, but like it's like you wouldn't know because the commentary was it's. But what else is new? Josh Fabian knows.
Oh God!
Eventually, the UFC will add an 105 weight pound division because these girls
insert El Wagman, baby.
Luca Lumbume,
phenomenal.
Michelle Waterson down there, Jinyu Frey, Kay Hansen. There's a 105 division already. It's just. And we need more
Kay Hansen to make that.
Yeah, maybe not Kay Hansen.
She struggled a little bit with her weight cuts already.
Yeah, never mind. I don't know why I said I was thinking Emily Whitmire, but I said Kay Hansen for some reason. I was just thinking blonde white chicks.
For me, with this main event, Marina, she looked dominant against Ribas, and Ribas was a super hype train at the time. I mean, she's got a great personality, so I like her a lot. And then
she's got a hype train because Dana White and her looks, in my opinion.
Part of it could go into maybe the main event tonight of why this was the choice, but I would have been more impressed if Marina got the finish because she was very close to it. It would have been a lot more impressive on her resume if she were to get that finish against Waterson. Waterson, like I've said earlier, is just so durable. It's so hard to get her out of there, and once you do, you could be a potential champion. And she couldn't, but she does deserve probably one of the top of the division after this, like someone really, really good.
I did bet Marina by TKO just for shits and gigs, but yeah, I kind of knew when I placed that bet. Like Michelle Waterson she is so tough that I don't know that when's the last time. I mean, she can wear damage as well as anyone in the business and just, go get through it. So I did bet it because I think that highly of Marina Rodriguez, though. Her striking is that good. It's just Michelle Waterson is tough as shit.
Yeah. I bet Marina by decision at plus 130. So like that was good enough for me. I was shocked by the respect the odds makers gave Marina. I was really expecting it to be like closer to like a pick 'em, and then I saw minus 200. I was like, damn. Like they know, like sometimes they really don't know. Then other times they do. Like they made DeLima a minus 200 favorite. He should have been a minus 700 favorite. Yeah. I mean, and I thought it was crazy. It was a minus 200 favorite. And
those guys, when we do that segment, I'm firing both of them.
I don't want to fucking talk about that fight.
But yeah, let's get to Cowboy.
Yeah. I don't want to get into this one either because my heart's broken. Those of you that listen to the show know Cowboy is my all-time favorite fighter, man. Like you gotta love Cowboy.
A couple of years for you, my friend.
I know, such an OG of the sport. And I've been saying this for a while though. Like I really wish Cowboy would have retired. Like he went on that run like right after his son was born. And I think like not in his mind because I don't think fighters think this way, but as a fan looking in. Like Cowboy never had a shot at winning a belt like that. Those days were way past him. And he went on that run where it was like right before the Conor fight, he went on that run and he was doing great. And like, in my mind, I'm just like, I want him to hang it up, like go out on top, like in the back of your mind, you have to know you're not going to win. And he did look pretty good against Nico Price, but he didn't win that fight. Nico Price got a point deducted in that fight, which ended up making it a draw.
And Nico Price has gotten mollywopped so many times at this point that what the fuck is Nico Price?
Yeah, and I mean, for me, like as a huge Cowboy fan, and Carrie's like, because I said to Carrie, I said if Cowboy wins tonight, win or lose actually tonight, like I want him to retire. Carrie's like, why? He's your favorite fighter. I said, because when in fighting, like you don't want to see your favorite fighter get flatlined and Cowboy doesn't really get flatlined, but it's almost worse because he's sitting there and he just gave up. Like, he just gave up. There was at no point, he was literally against the fence with Morano 10 feet away from him, and he was still covering up. Like, he was totally out of it.
I want to get the fuck out of here, bro.
And it's just one of those things where, Cowboy should have probably hung it up. He's on a 6-fight losing streak, technically, if you take the draw out. He needs to hang it up. He says something about he envisioned going back to 55. No way. He gets mauled there. Listen, Cowboy, I love you. It's been great watching you, but it's time to hang it up. And shout out to Morano. He's fought now in his UFC career, Pettis and now Cowboy. Looked good against Pettis when they fought. I think he definitely belongs in the UFC. And he came out.
He has 8 wins in the UFC.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he looked great tonight. And I think that he's a guy, he knew he had an advantage in this fight. And that is that's a perfect name to put on your resume to get your name known, because people tuned in tonight just to watch Cowboy. And he, put on a show, looked great. And, his name is officially going to be known to people because he beat someone like Cowboy.
And it's in the Twitter highlight too. Like, it's not just known. It was
the only knockout tonight, right?
Yeah, I think it was, because there was only a couple of submissions, right?
Or the first one.
And then Gillespie had the TKO.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yes, yeah. So I mean 2.
Yeah, but really his was more exhaustion than a punch. You want
him to be done. You want him to be done. Do you think he is done?
Dana White will not let him fight again. I don't think Dana.
No, he'll let him fight again but it will have to be against someone like a Carlos Condit, somebody like.
I think Carlos Condit kills him. I think that the
Carlos Condit hasn't killed anybody in 13 years.
I know, but the thing is with Cowboy, the thing that we've seen with Cowboy though, with his last however many fights, Jim Miller, I think would be a safer fight for Cowboy.
You put those two against each other at a 160 catchweight bout, 165 catchweight bout, and it's like a combined 80 fights between the two of them, and they both go out after that, leave. That's
I would be fine with that. I was looking forward to the Diego fight, because I think that would have been a perfect swan song.
What they didn't need to do with Cowboy at this point was put him against a 30-year-old guy like Morano. Like, period.
This is I love this comment, because this is the best way to relate it to a casual fan. He treats fighting like a golf player. Like, he just goes out, does what he has to do, and then he just goes back in his RV and hangs out. Like, it's
and he was saying the classic. I've never trained harder for a camp. That's all the things that you could see. Like, this isn't the same Cowboy. There was all these rumors that he hadn't been training hard. It's like, if there's rumors you haven't been training hard, it probably isn't your hardest training camp of your career in 50 fights. Like, just buy that.
I got to get my honorary Mike Perry mention in, but a win over Mike Perry gets worse and worse by the week. If you finish him in the first round, especially, which not a lot of guys do, Cerrone, Jeff Neal both did, and they look underwhelming tonight.
I didn't think Jeff Neal looked awful tonight. I think he just had a really hard time with the length of Neil Magny. And the thing is, and I don't want to skip over the Cowboy fight, but that's just Neil Magny's lackluster, boring ass performance every single time he fights. It's anytime someone closes the distance, he's going to grab a hold of you and just sit there. And it's literally been Neil Magny for the zillion fights he's had in the organization. So shout out to him, because it works. Like, whatever, like, it works. Poo-poo on Jeff Neal for not figuring it out.
You want to know a crazy stat with Neil Magny? He's 17-1 in fights that go to decision.
Yeah, he's a decision. He is the decision king.
This is where betting on fights pays off, because I get to bet him as an underdog and enjoy a boring ass fight as I count my money, because he was a plus 175 underdog against Jeff Neal in this fight. And I was like, I get it. We all want Jeff Neal to win, like, or a lot of us do, but it's not going to go the way we want here. It's going to be this clinch thing where
it's a fight he should win if he's a top prospect. Like we thought he was. It's a fight he should win if we thought he was a top prospect.
It's like how Chiesa looked. Like, Chiesa proved himself. Like, I mean, Neil Magny is the perfect guy for this company to never sniff a title shot, but help separate the Vicente Luques from the Jeff Neals. And even though Jeff Neal beat Vicente Luque, it's like, look at how they've gone since their fight.
At the end of Jeff Neal's career, it's going to be just like the end of Cowboy's career. When they show his name, it's going to say Neil Magny, most wins in whatever history, most whatever. That's what it's going to say, but it's never never held a belt, never even sniffed the title. That's exactly basically Cowboy. It's the same thing. At least that's how I feel. But yeah, I mean, Jeff Neal, he's going to have to work a couple extra shifts at Texas Roadhouse now because that just didn't get it done. And that's 2 in a row now, albeit 2 tough opponents. I mean, you had Wonder Boy and now Neil Magny, but you know, the thing is with Jeff. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Go ahead, Josh.
Does he get the Chimaev? He's been asking for it. Give him Hazmat, please.
I do think that's an interesting. Yeah, I think it's an interesting fight, but I do think that with Hazmat's style, I don't think Neil Magny's grappling style would work well.
No, me either. That's why I want to see it. Maybe it does.
If it does, Neil Magny is like shoots his. I think it makes sense for both guys, honestly, because I think Hazmat feels it's a safe fight for him.
Same.
And going back to Jeff Neal is in ways like I felt like that was one of the better versions of Jeff Neal we saw, but it just like when they were just standing there cracking, Jeff Neal had the advantage. It was, to me, it was just whenever Magny got himself in any sort of danger, it was grab and let's pray, and it works. I mean, it works literally every single time.
If I didn't bet it, I would hate it, man. If I didn't bet it, I would hate it. Like, period.
I mean, I feel like you almost have to bet Neil Magny almost every single time unless he fights someone like Michael Chiesa. Unless he fights someone like Michael
decision Chiesa. Every time is your bet until further notice. 17-1 decisions. You just got to do it. He doesn't finish anybody.
I did want to actually get to this question quick because Nico says, Diego Sanchez, is there any way his family members can legally separate Diego from Joshua Fabia? Did you actually, I read something today. Diego Sanchez he's basically shunned his entire family to stay loyal to Josh Fabia. Like I read this article today that he has literally just disassociated himself with all of his family because of that. Like Diego Sanchez, I've watched so many things. I don't know if you guys watched the Anthony Smith video with him. He needs, I don't know if it's CTE. I don't know if he's brainwashed. I don't know. I mean, Diego Sanchez has always been an off the wall character. Yes, he was literally training on a sex swing. He was literally upside down on a sex swing while Josh Fabia freaking was kicking him. I don't know. That relationship is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Something that you would see out of a freaking movie, I feel like some weird movie. But I don't know, man. Like it's really sad. Like it really is in ways. Like I watch those videos and he is by far probably the most mentally unstable. Maybe Mike Perry gives him a run for his money, but mentally unstable person I have ever seen in UFC history. I mean, it is bad. It is really bad.
Yeah, they have all this press. They say they have all this video evidence of stuff. The press has never been higher for Diego Sanchez or Josh Fabia. So if you have these videos, this dirt on the UFC, now's the time to put it out if you have it, or else you're just going to look stupider and stupider and stupider by the minute. So
is stupider a word?
Yeah, stupider. He had some good points in his interview, but then he sounded like an idiot as well. So, or just went on these rants. So if you have it, put it out.
Yeah,
but the sex swing video, why put that out? It's fucking weird.
If you're gonna put that out, put something else out like that's valid.
My favorite thing about Diego Sanchez is that he has an OnlyFans, and it's literally not for what OnlyFans is for. It literally is for him to just do weird shit. It's just so weird, man. The guy is just on another level.
Feels bad.
I don't know. Yeah, Josh Fabia is definitely a cult leader, without a doubt. He's 1,000%. And Stephan Bonner was the guy recording the video. That's even weirder. Like it's just
he's not been a picture of stability lately either.
God, Jeff.
I've seen a video on like MMA on Point. It was like Dana White was training for a boxing match with Oscar De La Hoya, right? Why not put him against Josh Fabia so they can settle their differences? Josh Fabia submitted Diego Sanchez in 40 seconds. Why doesn't Dana White fight him in the octagon?
What with all these celebrity fight things? Like, would we see Josh Fabia ever fight with all these like things? Like, will we ever see him fight?
I
That
think
would
he's
be
like
crazy.
5'2" and 130 pounds.
Yeah, he's crazy small. Yeah,
like I'm pretty sure there's not a weight class for him. Women's strawweight. Marina Rodriquez versus Josh Fabia.
She would piece the shit out of him.
Oh my god, she's KO inside around.
Oh,
those knees.
I'm ready.
So anyway, Alex Morano though, stud. He needs. I'm excited to kind of see him move forward now. That's 2 really good performances in a row. So all in on him. Then we have, oh my God, Mo Green. How the fuck is this guy still in the UFC? I will say, so was it Jan Vellante? He fought that he got the tit submission where he basically shoved Volante's face in his chest hair until the guy basically tapped. Like, that is Mo Green's most impressive thing, and it was literally just the fact that Jan Vellante has severe asthma, and at that point was just couldn't breathe. And
can I just say this first and foremost? Can we stop bringing up Greg Jackson's as elite camp in 2021? Because that's the camp that Maurice Green was fighting out of. He had Jackson in his corner. Jackson is not what it used to be, period. Like, that was one of the most unprepared fighters I've ever seen. In his corner, did nothing to help him at all. So
that was I think he literally threw like a total of 4 strikes the entire fight. The most exciting thing about that fight was when Herb Dean said to De Lima, "You need to get it together." Like, that made me laugh so hard because Herb Dean doesn't even have his shit together.
Did you know there's 73,000 people at the Canelo fight right now?
73,000?
There's 73,000 people at the Canelo fight.
I thought that fight got canceled.
No, there's 73,000 people at it right now.
Wow, where's it at? Florida?
No, Texas. The other white meat.
Okay, yeah, it was one of the other.
Time boxing matchmakers are stupid. This is an easy win for Canelo tonight.
There's literally only 3 boxing matches ever with a bigger crowd than this.
I'm surprised you're watching it, Aaron. I didn't think you were a boxing guy.
It's on mute in the background. Like, I'm not watching it.
Is it pay-per-view or is it just ESPN?
It's on the DAZN. So I have someone's login, not mine.
Like Todd Grisham. Fuck yeah, I like that. He's a great commentator with DAZN. Did he step up from UFC? I think so. I think he got a better gig now.
I guarantee he did.
But anyway, Gregor Gillespie, he's back. I'm not talking about Mo Green and De Lima anymore. Like, there's no reason to talk about that fight. That fight was probably the worst fight on the entire card. That fight sucked so bad. I literally would rather get kicked in the nuts than have to watch that fight over again. In my honest opinion.
Watch that fight over again.
Nope, I wouldn't.
I get the sentiment.
Yeah, I know. I've been kicked in the nuts before. I can get over it fairly quick.
I've watched Mo Green fights before. I can get over it.
But Diego Ferreira versus Gregor Gillespie, and man, tale of two fights. Round 1, we're thinking Ferreira's that's it. He's gonna win the fight. Like, he's gonna steamroll through Gillespie in round 2. I don't know if Gillespie was tired, but I thought he almost looked wobbled as far as like something like he was shaken from a punch or something like that. I didn't know if it was exhaustion. Commentary was talking about exhaustion. But if it was exhaustion, he got a second win. He looked great the second, third round. The biggest thing with me with Gregor Gillespie, obviously elite wrestling, right? Elite wrestling. The striking on the feet, though, like, he was getting pieced up decent. Like, I think that if he gets up to the top 10, top 5 guys, he's going to have some issues unless he can figure out the striking. But at this point, what is he, 34? He's not young. I mean, it's going to be tough to develop that. And I don't know, like, being able to wrestle is great. Like, everyone says, oh, Khabib was a wrestler. Khabib was great at everything. He wasn't just a wrestler. Gregor Gillespie is a wrestler. I mean, the ground and pound looked good, but Diego Ferreira at that point was so gassed. He already was overweight. We've seen it over and over again. Guys that come in missing weight, they look good in round one because they have the strength. They're probably weighing a lot more than their opponent, but they gas out super quick. That's exactly what happened. I don't know. Was Gillespie a live dog in round two after round one?
I wasn't paying attention to the live odds, but I would assume yes, especially after the stumble.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I feel like if you live bet that, that's probably one of the better bets of the night because
what a crazy live bet that would have been at that point, though, because no one could have thought that the one was going to gas it. And also, you said second and third round. That was just the second round. All that happened with it's just like, I mean, no one was seeing Ferreira was going to gas, and it's just like with grappling, having a 4.5 pound advantage is such an advantage in grappling. It's like crazy to me. And
I mean, the wrestling exchanges were beautiful between both. Yeah. I mean, it was great the entire fight.
Yeah, but I think that's as good of an opponent as Gillespie can beat.
I agree. Kieran and I said the same thing. And Steve is a Gillespie fiend. He loves Gregor Gillespie.
I think if he faced Kevin Lee again, he'd lose again. I think
anyone that has crazy put away power is putting him away.
Or takedown defense, like a little better takedown defense than Ferreira, which I mean, it's Ferreira's really good, but he's number 16, and that's what Gillespie will always be, in my opinion. It's number 16. Yeah, right, but in that range, I mean, the 12 to 16, sure, under top 10, in my opinion. He reminds me a lot of essentially a Cody Stamann, just at 155. He can out wrestle so many of these guys who aren't at the top, but not. If it's at the top, it's you've got to go to that other it's you see Valentina go to the wrestling when her opponent's it's Gregor can't all of a sudden go to the box. That's just not going to happen.
I also don't know how invested Gregor Gillespie is, and that's kind of been the knock with him the whole time is he takes so much time off between fights, and all he ever posts, and I have no issues with it, but all he ever posts is him fishing, which is great. But it's if that's as invested as you are, then like you said, top 15 is up 10 to 15, 11 to 15 is probably as far as he's probably going to beat because he just doesn't seem as invested as someone, who is trying to evolve.
They were good, good scrambles. The first round was amazing. It seemed kind of weird stoppage because Diego just gave up in the second round.
He was exhausted.
It would have been 1-1 going into the third round, but he just kind of quit. So, I mean, good for Gregor. I'm glad he won because he got 30% extra and he missed weight. So at least, I guess the rightful guy won tonight. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and if it's fight of the night, he'll get both bonuses.
Yeah, I'm not impressed. I'm not going to.
I feel like Marina was I think that fight was probably fight of the night in my opinion. But I agree. Whenever a fighter misses weight, I feel like I could hate the other guy, but I feel like I want them to win because it's just unprofessional. You're a professional fighter. Making weight, that's part of your job.
4.5 pounds. That means you quit.
How about Ryan Benoit though? Whew, that was scary. That was a scary scene, huh? Not good, man.
Yikes. And then they tried to do it again. They tried to have him go back up. What are you doing?
What are we doing?
One time's enough.
Yeah. That's when that video came out. That was scary, man. The UFC's got to feel at that point. I don't know how many. What was he? Was 129 the first time, so he was 4 pounds over. At that point, three over. At that point,
126. He could.
Yeah. Championship weight is on the money, is on the dot, right? And then, but if you're not, if it's not championship,
have to worry about championship.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, though, that's a scary scene in the UFC. At that point, yes, the card was kind of already ravaged with the cancellation, so they're probably man, we got to keep as many fights as possible, but. At the end of the day, fighter safety is the most important thing. If you're 3 pounds off and you can tell just by looking at someone there's no way they're going to shed 3 pounds in this next attempt, just call a fight, man. The fight, it wasn't anyone that it wasn't a make or break at that point. People weren't going to say, oh, Ryan Benoit fights off. We're not watching.
Isn't it interesting on the same weekend, Ryan Benoit and Sergio Pettis fight, one wins a championship, the other is pulling out of a prelim in the UFC. It's just it's so weird how different people's careers go after a win, like, or after a fight. It's just like
a lot too. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Sergio Pettis got so much better after that loss, but people still are like, "Oh, he got knocked out by Ryan Benoit." Like, but it's
That's
like,
why, that's why we
crazy.
Hey, man. That's why we talk about it.
Yeah, man.
We go separate ways, just like that.
Yep.
Any given day. Shit. I mean, that's all I really for Gregor. I wasn't super impressed, but good for him to get that win. He will not be getting my follow on Instagram yet. I need another win. And then
how about Phil Hawes though? Phil Hawes for once finally showed a gas tank. It did hurt a little bit. I like Chris Dawkins we interviewed, so I was kind of pulling for Kyle Dawkins, but like Kyle Dawkins never been on the show, so it's okay. But no, I don't dislike Phil Hawes at all. I'll be honest. I did pick Kyle Dawkins because of Phil Hawes' gas tank issues. And the other thing is, I think Dawkins could have finished that fight had he had better fight IQ. He had, and same goes for Phil Hawes. Both of them at one point had each other rocked, and Dawkins goes in for the, he had Phil Hawes wobbling all over the place.
Combo.
Yeah, and then he just goes in for the takedown, and Phil Hawes is so goddamn strong. It's hard to take someone down like that. He's obviously got good wrestling. He showed it now in 2 fights. And that, like, for me, Dawkins at that point needed to try to finish the fight. He didn't. And then on the flip side, Phil Hawes, same shit. He had Dawkins hurt, and then he goes in for the wrestling. So at the end of the day, I like Phil Hawes. I think this is something that everyone needed to see. Everyone needed to see that he could go 3 rounds. And I think he honestly looked fresher in round 3 than he did at the end of round 1. So I think that he looked much better towards the end of the fight than he did in the beginning. He tried, and what I love is, even though it was a decision, he tried to put away Dawkins at the end. He did everything he could to try to finish the fight. You got to respect it. He's getting better. At 32 years old, it's not young, but it's not old. Perfect time for him to start, really making a name for himself. Kyle Dawkins is not an easy opponent. The dude has a really good ground game, tons of submissions, and, he handled them well. I don't think this is the end for Dawkins. I do think that he needs to win his next fight, though. This is, I think he's 1-3 or 1-2 in his last 3. So he needs to, but his 2 losses, Phil Hawes, Brendan Allen. And now we see Phil Hawes look like this. It's not a bad loss at all. He just needs to kind of figure some things out. Better fight IQ. Could have been a totally different story for both guys. Both could have had a knockout on their resume. But I loved the fight. I thought it was a great fight, and it was good to see Phil Hawes look that good. Only issue with Phil Hawes, horrible freaking haircut. What the freak was in the back of his goddamn head? That is my only complaint about that. Other than that, though, he looked great.
You're right about Dawkins. He did threaten some submissions tonight. He looked like he could win a fight in the UFC for sure. Phil Hawes already has a fight booked already, and I think this is going to be an easier fight than Kyle Dawkins.
Yes, and this is
however
this
he wants
is from
to be.
Kieran. Kieran says Phil Hawes versus Baby DC.
That's DC's boy too. He liked Deron Win.
I hate Deron Win, man. God,
they're trying to launch Phil Hawes into the stratosphere they've been waiting to launch him into for like 4 years, since the first time he was on the Contender Series and failed against Julian Marquez. Yeah, they've been waiting to launch Hawes. He's the real deal, man. And it's like you could tell in his interview, he'd heard the kind of comments about his gas tank, particularly from Kyle. He said, and it's like that drives him. It's like no one until he had lost the first round and then won the next 2 rounds would have believed he could do that, including Phil Hawes. Now he knows he can do that. I think it's like a calm Ngannou is a scary Ngannou or whatever, a patient Ngannou, whatever it is. It's like a cardio Hawes is a scary Hawes.
Especially because we saw the wrestling too. I feel like prior it was more like just going for knockouts.
Yeah.
Now he's wrestling.
He's being smart and cardio. That makes I really like Hawes in this division moving forward. I'm a big believer.
Yeah, I'd rather have Dawkins fight win. I think that's a way better matchup than Phil Hawes versus Deron Win, because Dawkins deserves another one. Deron Win, if he loses, he's done. That's
right. Hawes is gonna take care of that.
I just can't. Every time I see a picture of Deron win, I just laugh. I can't help but laugh. It's just so funny. He is such a slob, like, and that's so mean to say, but he's such a
he should
slob.
be
He's like
fighting
my
at
height.
155 probably.
It's just so funny. I mean, the guy can wrestle a little bit, but damn, it's hilarious. But yeah, Phil Hawes, I'm all in on him. I will be honest, I was out prior to this fight because the cardio was really, I was all in on Phil Hawes in round 1, and then anything after round 1, I was like, well, Phil Hawes is going to lose. But
yeah,
he looked good tonight, and I think that's someone to definitely keep your eye on throughout the next couple of years. I think that he's someone that really could make a pretty big name for himself. He's just, dude is also a freaking house. I don't think there's an ounce of body fat on that dude.
Nope.
That's kind of where the card started for me tonight, where the ones before that. I mean, the first fight was good. But
no love for Carlston Harris. I like Carlston Harris.
No, I liked Carlston Harris a lot, and I thought that he looked really good. He hits hard, and then the sub win was awesome. I thought the last fight was all right. I was very underwhelmed with Tafon and Chuck Wee. But I will say this. He's only got 6 professional fights. He fought someone who has 17 professional fights. My biggest takeaway from the prelims is how the hell did they let Park fight with a staph infection?
That was a shotgun wound.
That was disgusting. And why the hell? I mean, I know in Chuck Wee wants the payday, but goddamn, how do they let him fight with that on his chest? I would not be fighting someone with an open chest wound. That's disgusting.
Yeah,
I thought it was blood.
No. Yeah, that was not a great fight at all. But Park did what he had to do. Same with Trezano and Klein. I thought that fight was kind of misjudged, if I'm being honest. But that's what Trezano does. Trezano has 4 split decisions. It's like they don't know how to judge his fights, and that's just he fights everybody like that. So whatever. But Carlston Harris, I really liked him. He's got some legit chokes, and I don't know. There's something about a guy being 34 years old and making his debut that's kind of cool. So, exactly. Well, hopefully he does a little better. So.
I didn't like his stand-up, really. I mean, he hit him with one really good shot, but on the ground, he's great. Stand-up, you could see how it could go against him.
He hits hard. He hits hard as shit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it was kind of patchy as far as other than the one shot, but the dude definitely hits hard as hell. I mean, he rocked him pretty good, but yeah, I mean, the prelims is hard to talk about. There's 3 of them. I mean, it wasn't, I mean, I thought Davis looked good, but other than that, there 9 fights, three prelims. The main card was good. The prelims weren't, if you're watching the prelims to get you hyped for the main card, I'm sorry, it wasn't one of those. The main card was obviously light years better than the prelims. Yeah. But no, it was overall. It was
just a solid double. It wasn't a home run. I'm not calling this like a homer. It was a solid off the wall.
It overperformed for what it was supposed to be. Like with having all the fights canceled, it definitely overperformed. I thought the card was going to be way worse. Like I thought every fight was going to be a Mo Green shithole fight, and it wasn't.
Yeah, it was like we're supposed to have TJ Dillashaw versus Sandhagen. We were supposed to have Holly Holm versus Juliana Pena. We were supposed to have Francisco Figueiredo versus Jimmy Flick. Like we lost
Hill.
Yeah, it's just like over and over. And it's like we still have another card next week. And the week after that.
The big pay-per-view. I'm so pumped.
Yeah, and the week after that.
Thank God.
Keeps going. Yeah. So it's like a little double here with no balls in attendance. It was nice.
I do want to have a hot take here. Leon Edwards, Nate Diaz is not going to happen. Fight's not going to happen. I would be willing to put money on it that fight never happens.
It will happen. Leon won't fight a top contender until he gets the title belt fighting not top contenders.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think that this time it's Nate. Nate could very well not be ready for the next one. He hasn't fought in a while. I don't know. And Nate, let's be honest, like Nate Diaz in like any interview just doesn't look good. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, he just looks so old. Like, and I like Nate Diaz. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would much prefer Nate Diaz win over Leon Edwards because Nate Diaz has got such a better personality than Leon Edwards, who has zero personality. But I don't know. It's just something about Nate Diaz. I just feel like he's not. There's something about in my gut that's telling me this fight is not going to happen. So let's stay tuned for that. But you guys ready to hand out some pink slips?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Alrighty, guys, it's ready for some pink slips. If you guys are watching this right now, put in the chat who you are going to be firing. You can fire whoever. Just give us your reason. You could fire anybody. I really don't care who it is. You got to put a reason. You can't just put a name and then not tell us why. I got a couple people that I could fire. Actually, no, I got two. I could fire, but I'll let you guys go first. Do we all just want to gang up on Mo Green? We could do that.
We can't. He's already been fired, so we have to fire someone else.
How the fuck has he not been fired like 4 fights ago? Like Mo Green. I think Mo Green, honestly, too, openly smokes cigarettes. Like he trains.
He openly smokes and drinks. I heard from a source I won't name who, but was on Fight Island with Mo Green, and he is the biggest drunken buffoon you could ever see.
Makes sense. It makes sense. He looks like a 6'7" Ricky Williams. But no, Mo Green,
obviously,
he's been like the shittiest heavyweight, I feel like, for a while now, and somehow still gets fights. Man, yeah, he's really, really bad. That fight was awful. I don't even think De Lima is very good, and he just ragdolled the shit out of Mo Green the entire time. Mo Green, also, everyone's like, oh, Mo Green looks like to be in the best shape ever. All he did was shave his damn chest. That's what it was. He shaved all his body hair that made him look bigger or skinnier or more ripped. He didn't look any different other than that. Like, he was terrible. He's fired by everyone nationwide that watches MMA is firing Mo Green tonight. I won't be surprised if he's fired before he even gets on the plane or whatever's taking him home. Like, he's out. I don't even know what promotion he'll be in because I wouldn't touch Mo Green with a 10-foot pole. He is awful. Was there anyone else that you guys would fire?
Lima, and I guess Diego Sanchez did get fired. So,
man, okay.
He did get fired. Lima is my fired.
I mean, honestly, it's like there's only so. I don't think there's many fireable candidates. I would say Christian Aguilera, like we could fire him just because I know he's only 1-2 in the UFC. His win was over a guy who had never appeared to have been punched before in his entire life, in Anthony Ivy. I don't know if you guys remember that fight, but like
I probably saw it, but I don't have the memory that you guys have.
The first jab that Aguilera landed on, like Ivy freaked out and like just covered up and shelled and went down. So it's like, I don't know. Aguilera to me is like a guy who I think is just not UFC caliber quite. And it's just, you could keep him around one more for another debut guy. But other than that, I think, yeah.
Good one, Nico. That's a great one.
Yeah, I will agree. Yeah. Barbers are not an existing thing in the UFC, I feel like.
Trezano's barber for me.
Yeah, or freaking Phil Hall's.
I think that mullet was worse. That mullet was like although both were terrible.
Yeah,
I don't know. I can dig a mullet. It's fine. I do like this comment too. Diego Sanchez will never fire Josh Fabia, but it wouldn't surprise me if Josh Fabia literally set Diego Sanchez on fire. He would probably think it's like some sort of training technique to help him get better.
Yeah, courses.
My only other you're fired would be Park, Young Ho Park, for the staph infection. That is a severe liability. Like, come on now. Like, and I'm firing the UFC kind of for letting him fight with that because that's just disgusting. Like, bruh, I mean, that's got to be like against every sort of. The thing is, there's no goddamn union. The union would not let that happen. Like, that is breaking tons of laws. That is just, you can't have it. That's just absolutely disgusting. What the hell? I just want to know what the hell was that? That's kind of my biggest question for tonight. If I had a question that I could ask any fighter, I would ask him what that was because I'm very, very, very curious as to what it is. That's probably the one thing that took Twitter by storm today. And I asked Eric Anders about it, and he tweeted back at me and said, "Man just wants to make his money." So I don't know. That's the Eric Anders reply to everything. Man just wants to make his money. I get it. Just disgusting. So yeah, Park, good performance tonight. You looked good, but I got to take it away because of staph infection. Disgusting.
It's fair. That was a really gross staph infection. I never want one of those.
Yeah, me neither. It's not a good thing to have. All right, you guys.
That's not bad. Only 2 fireable candidates. One with a shotgun wound in his chest.
Yeah, no.
That's what I thought it was. I thought you got shot by a BB gun.
I agree with you. I think overall, there's really no one, honestly, aside from Mo Green, that deserves to be fired. Right. I thought that overall, everyone. The other thing is, most of these guys are young or making their debuts. Like, you don't get fired after one bad performance or your first performance in the UFC. I mean, if KB Bueller can get more than one performance in the UFC, anyone can get more than one performance in the UFC. I also did want to say, did you guys see the recently cut fighters?
Yes.
We have knocked this segment out of the park because we have literally basically called every single fighter that's going to get cut, because Luke Sanders got cut, Burchek got cut, KB Bueller got cut. I mean, I'm not saying it's a hard segment to predict, but the only other guy that probably, I don't want to see him get fired. I don't think he deserves to get fired, but if he wants to keep fighting and the UFC doesn't agree, and it hurts me to say, but it could be Cowboy. You know, it's all depending, because Dana White said after the Nico Price fight that he feels Cowboy should consider retirement. If we remember what he did with Tyron Woodley, he kind of spoke that tune about Tyron Woodley for about 2 fights, and then it finally happened. He spoke about Cowboy after the Nico Price fight. Now that, I mean, he gets stopped in round 1 against Alex Morano on a week's notice. I don't want to see it happen. I'd much rather see Cowboy just hang it up, but I don't think that's going to happen. So if Dana, I mean, you got to think Cowboy makes a lot of money. You got to think if, Dana White doesn't want to see him fight again, and they have a good relationship, so I don't know, but we could see Cowboy get released, which would that would suck. But that's where we're at right now. We're seeing these guys that make a lot of money that aren't performing getting cut. And listen, I don't know, like, unless, like Aaron said, you put him up against someone who is basically on the same path as him, like a
Jim
one
Miller
more fight, and that's it.
Jim Miller at 155 is the only fight that can be allowed to be made.
Because I don't even think I still think Carlos Condit would, because this is the thing. Cowboy cannot fight anyone that is going to just bull rush him and throw up a bunch of strikes on him. And I don't think Carlos Condit is like that, but he could very well look at that game plan and just say, screw it, I'm going to go balls. And Cowboy cannot wear damage anymore. He doesn't go out cold, but he just a couple big shots. That's it.
He SpongeBob SquarePants it and gets out of there.
Exactly. Yes. But
it's been a trend. I don't think he gets cut. I think the UFC holds him in higher regards than they do Woodley, Pettis, the other veterans that they've released. I think he'll go out I think he gets another fight. I do. I really do.
Don't say it. No, I don't want to see him fight again. Stop.
Jim Miller at 155. That'd be incredible.
I feel like Jim Miller is not ready to retire, though. I don't know.
Neither is Donald, but like they both have to after that. Like they just would have to.
That'd be cool,
guys.
Yeah, it'd be great.
It would definitely be cool. Yeah,
be the most combined fights in the history of a UFC fight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if they do that, I'm all in. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Like that's the only thing. Like they're not going to put him against another 30-year-old. They're not going to be like, hey, we're going to give you Islam Makhachev.
Oh my god! If they give him Islam, I would not watch UFC anymore. That would be that's literally just
Cerrone Kazmat.
Donald, we're gonna have you go out and just get murdered, okay? And we'll give you good money, and then that'll be it. No, that's ridiculous. Like I could see them doing that to Diego Sanchez if he was still there because they hate him. But I don't know, man. It's the UFC, man. It's gonna be different. Well, not really, because Cowboy hasn't been relevant for a while. But for me, it's gonna be different. Anyway, guys, you ready for superlatives on the night?
Let's get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. The She Superlatives of the night. Those of you at home that are watching us on your cellular device, on your computer, wherever you're watching, do yourselves a favor. Go to sheathunderwear.com, use promo code Coffee and KOs, and buy yourself the best damn underwear to ever exist. These underwear, most comfortable things in the world. They separate everything in the undercarriage, makes everything feel like it's got its own compartment, and it's getting to be summertime. You know what that means? It gets sweaty. You start chafing. You know, if you're out there doing activities that involve a lot of movement, these are the underwear for you. I'm telling you, once you buy them, you are never going to go back to regular underwear again. They're the best underwear in the world. Everyone that we have promoted this to and that has gone and bought them has had nothing but rave reviews for Sheath underwear. They're the best underwear in the world. Everyone says it. And you can get them cheaper, 20% off your entire purchase. Buy more than one pair because you know you're going to love them. So go to sheathunderwear.com, promo code Coffee and KOs, and get 20% off your entire purchase. And as we always say, don't forget to sheath your dagger. Fellas, are always our favorite segment of the night. We get to talk. We've already talked about every fight, but we get to talk about every fight again. She's superlatives of the night. So we're going to start with the jacked on caffeine performance of the night. Aaron, go ahead. Take it away.
This is kind of an interesting one because there's a couple, only like I feel a couple that I really could pick here, but I'll take Marina. I just think like he came out and he fought the way he needed to in this fight. He got a lot of confidence from that Pettis fight. He put away Donald inside a round and looked great in there. So I think that's the performance of the night. Jacked.
Yeah, I think there's only really like two clear choices, and it's Gillespie and it's Cerrone. I'm going to go Gillespie because a lot of us, we all kind of thought he was done after the first round, and then he came alive and just kept wrestling. It seemed like he entered a flow state in that ring where he was just going to engage in grappling with him. And Diego eventually gave up and tapped out to strikes, essentially. So that's my only jacked on caffeine performance that I was really impressed with tonight.
I gotta go Phil Halls. Rebounding from the first. Oh my God, guys! I almost said inning. I almost said first inning. Holy shit! First round where he was wobbled, could have gotten put away, and then he rebounds and just absolutely puts on a clinic in rounds 2 and 3, basically similar to the Gillespie. Round 2 and 3, almost similar to the Gillespie performance. And it proved a lot to me. You know, I was a doubter of Phil Hawes, and now I'm back on the Phil Hawes train. So for me, he deserves jacked on caffeine performance of the night. My other honorable mention would actually be Carlston Harris. I thought it was a really good performance. The submission was great. I liked it a lot. It was a good tone setter for the night, I feel like. So I like that fight. I don't think it was deserving of the top 3, but it was one of those right outside the top 3. I thought it was a good performance. And then you could have honestly went with Marina or Michelle Waterson. Even though Waterson lost, I thought both women put on a great performance. So I thought for the most part, there was a lot of people decently deserving.
DeLima? You could have even given it to DeLima.
No, fuck that guy. That is one. I think that Kieran, and I know that you hate when we say this, I think Kieran would beat Mo Green. I am being totally honest.
Oh my God.
Give me Mo Green versus Sam Alvey.
You are correct. I do hate when you do that. You are correct.
I know. I'm
Every
sorry.
Every single time I hate it. It's the worst.
I'm sorry because I get it, and I know why. Because I know it's disrespectful to the sport. But I hate Mo Green that much, so I'm gonna say it.
That's fine.
I know that you're not partial to Mo Green, so it's not gonna hurt your
feelings. No, but he has had won multiple fights in the UFC.
Against crazy. Helen Keller in the blind. God damn, he's
awful. He's won fights multiple.
Oh God, that's depressing to say. Honestly, because those guys must have. I know Jan Vellante was one, but he's bounced around all divisions too. That guy. So.
I mean, they haven't been great guys, but still,
You're right. Listen, I know that I'm wrong in this situation, but I'm gonna say it anyway. All right, next espresso shot of the night. Josh, go ahead. You go first.
Give me Alex Morono. Those were my two big performers tonight. when you come to superlatives, it was not a great card. The entire card was all right, but superlatives, not really good for Morono. Pretty impressive win tonight, I guess you could say, against Cowboy. Cowboy looked all right. Just the pre-fight interview, Morono's a coach. He sounded super confident. And so I believed every word he said. Donald saying he was going to go to 155 after, I kind of believed nothing he said. So it was opposites attract. Morono did what he said he was going to do and finished Donald probably quicker than we thought he would, or at least some of us.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really feel confident about Cowboy in that fight, but I took him anyway because he's my favorite fighter. So
yeah. I think this is like why this card at first kind of felt like it wasn't that great, because superlative wise, there aren't these like needle jumping.
There was no,
like consistent. It was solid. It was just like, it was competitive a lot of times.
It wasn't a stinker. We've had way worse. We've had way worse cards.
Yeah, I'd actually say the shot of the night for me would be Michelle Waterson's head kick that like changed Marina's face.
Yo, that shit was crazy.
That was pretty fucking nuts. And like what it did to her face afterwards was like nasty. Like
I'll be interested to see the injury report. I want to know what it is.
So like I mean that was a pretty crazy shot, and like then there was a body shot by Michelle also in that fight that like was like really rough.
The kick, right?
Yeah. So it's just like, I think those might have been two of the best shots of the night. And like for Marina to kind of, other than then the takedown, like dominate the rest of the 25 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah. So for me, I think Morono was a great pick. I like both women. I thought were deserving of honestly, they both landed crazy shit. Morono was my pick, but I'll go off the rails a little bit. You could go Herb Dean telling DeLima to get it together, because that shit still makes me laugh. So him taking a shot at DeLima, he says to Mo Green, he says, "You need to watch your fingers and you need to sit right here." And then he goes over to DeLima. He's like, "And you're doing stuff way worse. You need to get it together. You understand?" And I'm just like,
it was like, I'll do more than take a point, but he didn't even take a point.
Yeah, he's gonna do it again, and it might be worse than it was like a mom like saying, "You do that shit again, you're grounded. Go into your room." Like that's, I don't know. Herb Dean to me, like he doesn't have his shit together ever, and then for him to say that is just hysterical. So you have that, and you could say if Park did get shot, a special shot of the night with the bullet hole in his chest. There you go. But yeah, so those are my two choices. It wasn't really like you guys said as far as superlatives. There was really no. I mean, you could go Gillespie with the punches at the end of his fight to put away Ferreira, but I feel like Ferreira more so just gave up than anything else.
Yeah, Ferreira gave up.
Decaf performance of the night. To me, there's only two that really stick out to me. I'll go Tafon. We already shit on Mo Green, so I feel like everyone could pick Mo Green. But I'll go Tafon Chukwi. For me, it's hard to give it to Chukwi because he does only have 6 fights in MMA, so it is really hard to give it to him. Obviously, the hype's kind of been around him. He was a favorite going into that, and Brandon from MMA Wagers had it kind of said it perfect in your preview show, where it's like, Park is a guy that's got 17 fights. He's got, I mean, granted the competition isn't great, but experience is a big factor in fights. And, Chukwi just looked very slow tonight. I feel like really his strikes, everything looked very, very slow. And he was gassed at the end and he got battered. Like the last minute of that fight, he got opened up and he was just bleeding all over the place. So, I think it's hard to give it to Chukwi because he's still so new to the sport. He just turned pro in 2019. So he hasn't been doing this very long, but it's tough, but hopefully he'll bounce back. Obviously, I think he's obviously not going anywhere. So, but no, I'm going to give it to him. Teflon Chukwi.
Mo Green. The crochet employee.
Yeah. I mean, we all gave it to Mo Green, but if I'm giving it to someone else, I'm going to give it to second round Diego Ferreira. Really unimpressed.
Tell it 2 tails there.
You have a 5-pound advantage, man. It's just, I mean, Gillespie cut all that weight and then, hadn't been fighting for 2 years. And yeah, I mean, I had bet Ferreira. I was feeling great with the underdog pick and just going into that second round, he's done. It's And then whoever. Okay, man, we're really beating up on Park's fucking shotgun wound
because that cannot happen. The UFC is going to have to answer questions about that because
it's not the first time they've let a guy with staph fight either.
That's ridiculous. That is so gross. Like that's, oh man, I don't know. Like I understand Chuck Wee wants money, but God, like, would you fight someone that had staph on their chest? Me neither. No. I wouldn't, especially yeah, they don't get. I mean, what they get paid too? Like they're not top tier guys. Like they could be walking away with freaking 10 grand. Like I feel like 10 grand or staph infection. I'm not taking the 10 grand. So Nico asks, is second round Diego Ferreira the new C-level Cain Velasquez?
Yeah, it's second round Diego Ferreira. Yeah, I accept that.
See, like, I don't know. It's been, especially this year and last year, fighters that miss weight, man, they really don't put on good performances. They get gassed out so quick. And I do agree, Joe Rogan, one of the few bright things he said as of late is, when guys miss weight, there's normally some underlying issue as to why they miss weight. And a lot of times that hampers their performance when they fight. So they have a weight advantage, but typically there's something else. And I think that a lot of times, Steve and I always say, whenever someone misses weight, pick the fighter that's fighting them to win if you're betting. And that seems to be kind of what's been working over the last year and a half is these fighters that are missing weight are actually don't have an advantage. They're almost losing more often than they are winning. So
yeah, well, I mean, I think before the pandemic, when you lost weight, it wasn't, maybe because you were trying to cut weight with a portable sauna. Now it's just like there's just lack of facilities for these fighters. They're having to quarantine in hotel rooms and work out in hotel rooms and like sweat in the shower. Like it's just, yeah. I mean, weight cutting does need to die, and I know Nico said earlier about how ONE FC does their hydration test. ONE FC doesn't do that shit. They're liars.
Yeah,
like they're not testing for hydration. They're letting guys do steroids over there too. So it's just like
ONE UFC has the toughest as far as when it comes to weight cutting and testing pulls and everything.
Exactly.
Because if you look at the differences, like look at who Mighty Mouse just fought. Like they were,
or the guy who broke Eddie Alvarez's eye socket the first time when he fought. That guy was 185 pounds. And they're like, oh yeah, we're testing for hydration. I'm like, no, they're not.
Yeah, no, that's all just. That's just like
tickets.
The people that hate weight cutting, like to the point where they won't watch the UFC or whatever. Like that whole statement is marketed to those people to get one more fans.
Yeah, to get one more weight cutting fan.
The
one weight cutting fan who's like, yo, hydration test, baby.
Weight cutting is never gonna die. It'll be around forever. Guys, that's gonna do it. Anything else for the good of the cause?
I think this is a great breakdown of a not great card. We deserve it.
We are the jacked on caffeine performance of the night.
Yeah.
For listen, I mean, like you said, it wasn't a shitty card, but we went over an hour on a card that was 9 fights.
9 fights and a lot of decisions.
One like exciting moment, really like good fights, but not one like holy shit moment. So sure. I think it's a great success, as Bull Rat would say. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this recap show. Please hit that subscribe button. Our channel has got everything. We got Aaron all throughout the week breaking down basically every single MMA card known to man. So make sure you check that out. He will win you some money. We got funny videos on there. We got our recaps. We got previews. Everything that you could imagine on our YouTube channel. So please hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Share it with your friends. Tell them all about it. Also, check out our podcast platform. You can find us on all podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. All our shows are also turned into audio podcasts. So go check them out there. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at the MMA Stooges. And we will see you all next time.